Hi, it is Char, and I got a really neat story that I've been meaning to share with you for a while, and just getting around to doing it right now. What happened the last time I listened to my gut, and exactly what is your gut. A few years ago, I read a book from Gavin de Becker called The Gift of Fear, and it was talking about how your gut is that inner voice that usually will give us a warning or give us like an inkling of things to come. It's a protection mechanism in its original design. I've always thought that gut instinct was kind of God's uncensored touch. And it was just the direct touch. When you think about the Trinity, you've got the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, that your gut was kind of that Holy Spirit living inside of you, and to plug into it and listen to it. And it's kind of our inner GPS of how do we get through life. And sometimes that gut feeling and that gut instinct will help us and get us out of sticky situations, or maybe, if you were in a bad situation, there's usually something that you can look back and be like, I had that feeling, or I knew I shouldn't have done that, or there was just a few little tips along the way you knew ahead of time, and in hindsight, you're getting more familiar of what that gut feeling is like. If you'll remember, maybe the first time you would use GPS, where you thought this is a little bit too good to be true, and how can you trust it? But eventually what happens is you learn, once you put the address in, you can rely on this. Your gut is a lot like that, is that we're taught as a society, we teach our kids at a young age not to listen to that, or not to trust it. So a lot of us detach from that and we don't listen to it. And I'm gonna very much encourage you guys to plug back into that gut feeling, because I truly believe it's God's uncensored touch directly into our lives. And sometimes when you get incredibly connected with your gut feeling, God will actually use that to help you help others find purpose. And I've got a really, really neat story. And I believe that gut instinct is also kind of where, the last time I listened to it, it's when magic happens. It's when miracles happen. Miracles did not stop happening because the book ended in Revelations. Miracles still happen. We just got to give them credit. And so, really neat story. You guys know I do a lot of domestic violence advocacy. And one of the girls, I always name the girls Jane Goes. And so one of the girls that was staying with me, that I was helping, when we were able to go and get her belongings back from her residence, things were waiting for her in the driveway. She didn't get to go through the house and pick. They were just kind of all waiting for her. And her ex had given her sewing machine back, but he didn't include the cords and the pedals. And he had given her car back, but he kept the battery. And then when we went to go connect it, he'd removed the bolts. So it's just kind of very juvenile stuff. And this specific Django, her only hobby that she had was sewing. She got so much enjoyment from doing it. I think that it was also something that made her a little money on the side. And so when we went to go get her belongings, and she had her sewing machine, but she didn't have the cords to it, she was feeling a little defeated that day. And I just promised her to just stick with it, just know things are going to work out the way they should, and just trust, especially when all you're doing is throwing good out there in the world. The good's going to come back. The good's going to come back. Well, in a short amount of time, somebody had donated a sewing machine to her. And it was old, but in the 30 years that they had it had only been used a handful of times. So it was like new. It was just old. That's kind of like me. Anyway, so she took it apart, cleaned it up. And the next time I went over to go visit with her, she had curtains on all the windows. And she was getting back into her groove and really enjoying finding her, because she's creating her new normal. And it was beautiful to watch. Well, as luck would have it, I was out, and I love is an understatement, to do a little thrift storing. And so if I find I've got a little bit of time or some downtime in between appointments or something, I might just dive into the local thrift store. And one particular Saturday, a couple weeks ago, I had been doing a little thrifting, but I was heading home because my son was coming home from his college for spring break. And on my drive home, my gut started stirring, and my gut was saying, if you're in Des Moines, you're going to know where I'm talking about. If you're outside Des Moines, just try to listen to the message, okay? It was telling me to go to the downtown Salvation Army. And I was having a conversation with myself saying, I don't want to. It's the weekend. I don't want to have to fight traffic. I don't want to have to figure out that. I don't want to. But my gut kept saying, no, go. Fine. I know this conversation that happens. It's one that I'm very familiar with. I trust God's uncensored touch in my life. And so I'm fine. I go down there and I'm walking around. I really have no clue at all what I'm looking for because I don't need anything, but my gut told me maybe I'm going to run into somebody. Maybe I'm going to, I have no clue. So I'm just walking around, leaving myself open to opportunity. And I'm looking, and I look over and I see at the top of one of the clothing racks, there's always like some brick-brack stuff on the top of these. But I look over and I thought, gosh, that looks like a little pedal to like a Wii, a game, a video game. And as I got closer, I realized, wait a second, that looks like a sewing machine pedal for a sewing machine. And I thought, oh, that's just hilarious. What are the odds that this could possibly be the pedal to the sewing machine for the Jane Go that I don't. So I went over and I don't know if you know it, but sewing machine cords and pedals are kind of all different. There's not a universal one. They're all different. So just on a fluke, I sent Jane Go a little message and said, hey, can you send me a picture of where the cord goes into the sewing machine? Just entertain me. And so she did, and I'll be darned if the picture that she sent me and the cord in my hand didn't match. They did match. And I had to sit down for a moment because in my world, this is a small miracle, okay? And I went ahead and bought it. It was just a couple dollars, $2, $3. And I'm not patient at all, so I drove straight to her house because I want to find out if this is the cord that goes with that sewing machine. And I'll tell you what, it was like a kid at Christmas, and I want you guys to know that I have a video from that, plugging it in, seeing if it worked, and I recorded a video, and I'll post it in the comments so you guys can go back and watch it, and it worked. It absolutely worked. And so what are the odds that I found the cord for her sewing machine? And none of this was to give me glory. This was all to let her know that she is so favored and she is so loved and she's so amazing and so valuable that now a woman who 3 weeks ago had no sewing machines has 2. And she has an abundance, and that she has many great things coming her way. And for her to maybe, we thought her path's going to go this way, but maybe she should look into the sewing, maybe doing some alterations, maybe doing some volunteer projects or I don't know. That is what she needs to figure out and plug into her gut. But I know that when I listen to mine, not only does it protect me and guide me, but when given the opportunity and when we trust it enough, it will actually help others find purpose and favor and connect with God, and maybe a God that they have disconnected with. And while I call it God, somebody else might call it something else. I'll respect all of that. I have a friend who is, what's the word I'm looking for? They don't believe in anything, I think. Agnostic is that word, and that's fine. So when she talks about her gut and the great things it's doing, my ears hear God. I don't stop her, I don't correct her. That's her gut. God's uncensored touch is what I hear. And so just know, you know what? When those things happen, when we're plugged into our gut, we trust it, and we trust it to lead us, and you build that dependency on it, you're going to know when it's pulling you to go help others. And that's truly where the magic is, and to make sure that we slow down and give thanks and credit for all the good that it can do. So you guys know what? If you haven't been listening to your gut, catch yourself doing that. Catch yourself turning that off, and maybe for once or twice, don't. Think about on that drive home, when I wanted to come home and see my son, if I had not listened and plugged in to that, hey, go here. And to be open to the possibilities that I'm here for a reason. I really don't know why, but I'm going to trust that it's going to make sense. And look at the difference it made in my Jane Go's life. And those are the things that we need to remember, that we are all connected. And don't forget that, because we're all connected. And that we're all so powerful in that connection. because we're able to make, that's where change happens. Change doesn't just miraculously happen up top. It starts one person at a time. And when they are reminded that they are wanted and loved and favored and needed, it helps more people plug in. So you guys know what? I hope you're having a great afternoon. I hope that you have the opportunity to plug into your gut instinct. And I don't know, I'm going to keep listening to mine. Who knows? I might show up at your office, your house, something. Don't be surprised. I mean, I'm kidding, right? I'm not going to be like showing up at all your houses. But anyways, just know, listen to it because it makes the world a better place. I hope you guys are having a great day. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.